Hello dear friends, welcome to our YouTube channel, YouTube Info. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is a violation of its territorial integrity and of the Charter of the United Nations. It must end for the sake of the people of Ukraine, Russia and the entire world. In this video, we will talk about the all possible solutions to the conflict. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine is going for last 3 months. Thousands of casualties on both sides and millions of people fleeing for their lives. Many of the cities are destroyed. What can lead to a rapid and peaceful solution in a situation in which the two nations can go to their people and say, "We won"? For Zelensky, Ukraine's president, he can clearly say, "I won" if the Russians leave his territory. But for Putin, it's different. He could claim victory in 3 ways. First, by maintaining eastern Ukraine, the Donetsk and Luhansk provinces of the Donbas region. Secondly, making it part of the Russian Federation, as he previously did with Crimea. Third way is Zelensky must resign, or a firm commitment from Ukraine that it would never belong to NATO or the European Union. But the conflict could also end in several other ways. The war would end if Ukraine's defenses were no longer effective and Russia were to fully occupy Ukrainian territory. Also possible is a Ukrainian victory over Russia, in which the Russian army and population are expelled from Ukrainian territory in their entirety. This would only happen if the West continues to supply arms and ammunition to Ukraine. But the ongoing supply of arms would more likely result in a protracted conflict and a military stalemate. NATO trying to stop this conflict by shipping more arms and ammunition to Ukraine. And it results in further escalation and making the conflict more complex. Russian military's poor performance at the battlefronts and good number of Russian troops and equipment losses and continuous supply of ammunition to Ukraine could force Russian authorities to think otherwise for the use of tactical nuclear weapons. This lengthy war would mean a Russian Vietnam, Iraq or Afghanistan, where the wasting of blood and terror would greatly weaken Russia's global economic and military influence. It's clear that Ukraine has successfully resisted the Russian ruthless aggression. But on the other hand, we can see that Russia is not in intention of stopping the war. We have all been surprised by how Ukraine has defended its territory. Russia has given up its goal of overthrowing the Ukrainian government. Now, Russian aim is to keep the eastern part of Ukraine and occupying southern port areas to hold back Ukraine's export and aid. We wish this would not happen. But if this war goes on for a significant period of time, Ukraine will be divided into 2 parts, like 2 Koreas, 2 Germanys, or Cyprus and Turkey. The Donbas region could become a kind of eastern Ukraine that has more in common with the Russian state than Ukraine. And the new country would be a buffer state between Russia and the rest of a more pro-European Ukraine. We personally believe that negotiations is the best and peaceful way to solve the issues. In this current scenario, Russia has the upper hand in negotiations because it controls territory. By destroying several cities and blockading southern Ukraine to affect its economy by stopping its exports, Russia gains more power in the negotiations. Peaceful negotiations can take place and a ceasefire can be reached through agreements. But here the goals of both sides are incompatible. The key element in finding a solution is goodwill on both sides. But unfortunately, from the Russian president and based on his track record, anything that looks like loser is not an option. If we look back in the past, there are some incredible moments in history where the feuds ended unexpectedly, such as Anwar Sadat and Israel, the Good Friday Agreement in Northern Ireland, and Rwanda, but sadly a conflict could last for years or decades. There are 2 further possible outcomes that are not feasible and can be ruled out. Firstly, there are those who think that there might be some sort of coup d'etat within Russian military circles to overthrow President Vladimir Putin. The other possibility is that the conflict between Ukraine and Russia will escalate into a larger scale conflict involving more nations. Whatever solutions is reached, there will continue to be repercussions against Russia. We are seeing leaders in the West speaking out in increasingly more vigorous terms against Putin, yet they continue to buy Russian natural gas. Therefore, Europe will have to re-evaluate how it imports or generates its energy to not rely on natural gas from Russia.